Good morning, good day, and good evening. Welcome back to episode 115 of Tech of a Tea. I am, as always, your host, Brody Robertson. And you know what? MMOs are not metaverses because MMOs are fun and metaverses are not. Now, that sounds like a really weird take, but it's not my take per se. This is the take of the director of Final Fantasy XIV, Yoshi P. So this was from a interview that was done for the Weekly Bunshin and was translated by Silicon Era. And he's got some interesting quotes here. So to me, I see the metaverse as a system that replaces reality with a virtual world. So I don't think the metaverse has anything in common with entertainment. Right? Okay. In the metaverse, I'm thinking of people who will use an avatar in virtual reality and take a stroll in Shinjuku or do shopping just like in real life. Though it might be fun, there's no entertainment there. What's so interesting about the systems of our real world is how I feel. When asked if he would ever consider working on something metaverse related, he said he would rather make something entertaining with the virtual reality rather than make a metaverse, but doesn't have any plans to do so right now. And you know what? I think that's a really interesting take on the metaverse. Like, I'm personally of the stance that a metaverse, any of these online worlds that we see, whether that's, whether it's RuneScape, whether it's 14, whether it's WoW, whether it's anything else out there, I would consider these a metaverse. My criteria for a metaverse is basically, it needs to be a digital world where, I think that's the main criteria. It needs to be a digital world. It needs to have some sort of community aspect to it. Because if you just have a digital world, like, let's just say you have a digital world, it's just a blank Unity project. It's just you and no one else. I don't think anyone's going to argue that a metaverse with a single person, or a world with a single person is a metaverse. So it clearly needs multiple people to be there. I think that's a baseline that everybody can agree with. But I'm not I'm not of the mindset that a metaverse necessarily needs to emulate the real world. While that is certainly the case with the corporate metaverses we're seeing, like, Meta and all of these other things that are all trying to just basically be, I guess they're trying, there's a Mozilla project that it very much reminds me of. Mozilla VR. I don't know what it's called. Hubs. Yes, Mozilla Hubs. It's basically a Zoom call. But can I find a picture of the avatars? Yes, I can. It's basically a Zoom call, but done in a 3D space. This is sort of a more, I guess, isolated metaverse. Because all of these calls are started up, like, as private rooms, basically. But I don't necessarily think that a metaverse needs to be this boring. It's going to be this boring in a lot of cases when, you have Facebook designing an MMO. But I think that, at least by my definition, I would consider 14 to be a metaverse. It's a metaverse that's better than everything else being made, but it's still a metaverse sort of nonetheless. There were some other quotes in the actual translated article that didn't make it to the PC Gamer article, I believe. Let's see. Due to the similar... no, that's what I read before. Okay, no, I was mistaken. No, this is basically pretty much all that was said. That's Yoshi P's take on metaverses. I think it's a reasonable take. And if that means that he's not going to waste his time making things that nobody cares about, you know what? I think that's totally fine. Yoshi P is very clearly, a human being. Like, everybody can agree, like, he seems like a pretty chill dude. Someone who doesn't seem like a human, though, is Zuckerberg. This image is... It's such a strange picture. Like, I don't know if he's just, like, always doing lots and lots of drugs, which is probably part of it. I wouldn't be surprised if he is like, you know, every second of the day coked out of his mind. But like, no normal human being smiles like this. No normal human being, like, there's just something weird about his face. Like, if Facebook came out, or if Meta came out and said, we are now working with Boston Dynamics to build, like, war bots, and they made them look like Zuckerberg, I don't think anybody would be, like, confused by that. They would just think, oh, look, Zuckerberg's just let his clone farm loose just out to the world. Like, this image sort of reminds me of the, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but back a couple of years ago, when he liked to talk about smoking meats, there was this live stream that he did. I think it was like, was it Thanksgiving or something like that? Yeah, here's the video. This was from 3 years ago. And he just kept saying smoking meats. Just like,
hey everyone, we are live from
just like to a really unnatural level.
my backyard where I am smoking a brisket and some ribs. I'm making meats now. Smoking these meats here. Our little meat smoking. It's smoking. So, I'm the meat chef.
Definitely smoking.
Yeah, someone asked me, do I smoke meat? Smoking meat. Smoking these meats. Smoking meats earlier in the day. Smoking these meats. Just set the charcoal up and you set the wood.
You don't need to keep saying it this, like, look, maybe he's just a really weird, awkward dude who's been thrust into a multi-billion-dollar company that he built himself. But, like, look, I'm not convinced that he's not a robot or not an alien. Maybe that's mean. But, like, I've never seen a picture of Zuckerberg where he looks like a normal person. Like, sure, some of the people in the background here look like they don't want to be here. They're really forcing the fact they're in this image. Like, this guy here is like, yes, I want to be here. This guy's probably one of the devs who's like, I don't want to be here. Just let me go back to work. But, like, most of the people here look, you know, like reason. This guy's the dev as well. He's like, let me go back to work. But everyone else here looks, you know, like a human. I think we can all agree everyone else here looks like a human. But then Zuckerberg. Uncanny Valley vibes right here, one commenter wrote, which, yeah, it does kind of seem like that. It sort of reminds me of, you know, when you see a, like, CG in a movie, or, like, 3D models in a game, and they look really, really good. Like, they look almost lifelike, but there's just something there where you're like, this doesn't... I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something about this shot, whether it's the lighting or the facial expressions or anything like that, where it's just slightly off what you'd expect. And that's what Zuckerberg is. He looks mostly human, but, like, there's something off about the way he conducts everything, where you're just like, are you actually a human? Like, are you actually human, though? Can we have some evidence of this being the case? But what evidence could he really give? You know, a birth certificate wouldn't prove that he's actually a human. You can very easily fake one of those. I think the more I look at this image as well, though, the weirder it gets. Because his hairline, like, his hair also starts to sort of, like, fade into the background. And it starts to look like he's kind of an elf. Like, because a bit of his ears being covered by the hair here. So if you just hide the hair and you just trace the outline of his head, it really does look like he's some elvish alien creature. That's all I have to say about Zuckerberg. Like, I'm just gonna sit here and insult Zuckerberg for the rest of the podcast if I keep doing this. But we will we'll move on from Zuckerberg and talk about something that is really cool and sort of fits into that uncanny valley as well. So I don't know if you guys know about this, but Unreal Engine 5 is kind of stupid. Like, it's kind of a stupidly, like, insane engine what it's capable of. Like I can't actually show you the pictures here because it's going to show you the video that I want to show you guys. Literally everything about UE5 right now is this video I want to show you. So there is this art project, this genuinely insane art project, and it looks almost real. During the daytime shot, you're probably not going to believe that this is not real world footage, but it's not. This is a render in UE5. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a live render, but it is a render nonetheless. So this is the video. Let's get it at let's make sure it's running as high as we can go, just to make sure YouTube's not going to screw us on the bitrate. We'll mute the audio, because I think the audio is just cicadas. Yeah, the audio is just cicadas. Okay. This is in-engine. This is in UE5. So the first thing that's probably going to set you off to the fact that it isn't actual real-world footage, the fact that it's running at 60 FPS. Or, it's not, it's actually, no, it's running at 30 on this upload, but 30 is not what you typically record at, and it looks slightly off. So this is all in UE5. So you might be able to see a little... Yeah, if you pay attention to the reflections up here, the reflections don't look, you know, as you would expect them to look. And I think was that a bit of pop in there? Yeah, here we go. Here's actually a good shot of where it looks kind of off. The glass on the other side, it doesn't look like it's reflecting in the way you would expect it to reflect. But all of the texture work here, all the modeling work here is genuinely incredible. There are a lot of people who saw this over on, I just realized you couldn't see half of it. You couldn't see half of it. That's fine. You can now. Can I make the video bigger? Oh no, go back to the video. Well, okay, you couldn't see half anyway. But up here, there was a little bit of, yeah, the reflection's a bit harder to sort of convince yourself it's not real. It's real. So the day shot is pretty insane. Like this is more than any game would you'd be able to actually play at. Where's the night bit? The night bit is where you can, any of the dark bits actually. Yeah, no, the night bit is where you can actually really tell. So the day looks pretty good. It's when you start sort of getting rid of a lot of the light that it becomes very obvious that it's not real, but it's also still genuinely incredible. So here we go. You can see if you pay attention to the light up here, like there's the glow on the light just doesn't really look the way that light looks if you pick it up on a camera. And the torch as well. There'll be a torch here in a little bit. But yeah, all the glow that's coming off here, like, it looks genuinely incredible. But it's still... It's very much in this uncanny valley where it looks almost real, but you can still tell because something seems off. And this torch here, like, torches don't... I guess, they don't glow as much as this on the path. It's when they hit something that you sort of start to notice the light. Here you can very much like notice the cone. The work in the gravel here looks really, really great as well. If we can find a good shot. Like this gravel, unless you were trying to pixel peep, you wouldn't be able to tell this wasn't real gravel. So this is based off of a train station in Toyama, Japan. And as I said, this isn't running in real time because this would make any GPU basically melt right now. It is running reasonably well, surprisingly, on so the guy who did this pinned a comment about it. So this is a high-res render around 7 frames per second. So it's running at 7 FPS if you were watching it real time. I can run it real time at 30 to 50 FPS at 1440p in the daytime. Obviously, the nighttime being considerably worse because you have these extra lights that are on. Actually, just the extra lights, which means extra lights to ray trace. But obviously, image quality is going to be worse because, you know, it's not been optimized for usage in a game. Like, this is an art project, not a game project. So it was done with a RTX 2080 and Ryzen 7 3700X. So theoretically, if you chuck this on like a 3080, you could probably get like 60 FPS at maybe 4K, maybe. But you would easily be able to get a constant 60 FPS. So this took the dev about a month to do, and it was recorded in VR. They didn't say what headset they were using, but it doesn't really matter. What other bits were really nice here? I didn't actually point this out, but like just the work on the like grime. Where's the stairs? Back here's a good shot. Like the grime on these stairs. Like, look at this. Every part of this scene, you can just sit here and examine for days. This guy is like this right here. This is how you get yourself hired at a game studio. This is the art project you do if you're trying to get yourself a job. There is a lot of water around because, you know, you can't show off any sort of Unreal Engine stuff or any sort of, you know, high graphical fidelity without reflections, because as we know, the more reflections there are, the higher the fidelity is, as we can see from GTA 5 mods where they look like you're playing on a mirror. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this. Oh, you can see, here's one thing that you can really tell. There is a little bit of artifacting around the edges of the light here. So that's another thing that can sort of make it pretty obvious what's going on here. But regardless, like, I'm nitpicking here, but this is incredible. Also, it was done without using nanite, which is that the lighting system that UE5 uses? Is nanite the lighting or the texture system? Nanite. Oh, it's nanite's the geometry system, right? You can do like fancy 3D geometry in fancy magical ways that I don't understand because I'm not an art guy and I don't understand how it works. But obviously, this isn't how any real games are going to look anytime soon. Like, you know, in UE7, this is probably how like games are reasonably going to be able to look. But obviously, not having any character models, not having any AI, not having anything else that would get in the way of the performance, you can spend all of that just on the art. This is a great tech demo to show off what UE5 is capable of. But a lot of people are misconstruing that as this being what games on UE5 will look like as devs get more used to the engine. And that's not going to happen. There's not going to be a single UE5 game that looks like this. And I can say this because every time there has been an engine that comes out, Unreal Engine is a great example for this, the highest end games ever made for the engine never look as good as the tech demos because it's just not reasonable, just not feasible to make a game that looks like that. The hardware is just not there, especially because a lot of games do get held back by consoles. The hardware is just not there to do that fully in real time with everything else you need for a game. But in time, that is something that's going to be feasible for actual real-time games. I personally just... It's cool. I think it's great, and if people want to go and chase this incredibly high fidelity to the point of literal reality, that's wonderful. I just don't really care as much as I care about, you know, art style, and I care about gameplay, and I care about all of the stuff that, you know, make a game look, like, make a game fun, and make a game actually play nice and look good. Because having this incredibly high fidelity background, if you didn't combine this with, you know, basically as long, if you didn't combine this with, like, Zuckerberg level 3D models, it would look weird. So if you sort of tone that down and then use a more stylistic style is not a sentence that makes sense, but use a more stylistic approach to your art, like, you don't have to have games that, you know, you spend $1 million on a fucking plank texture. Like, you can use the advantages that are coming from this to make your games look good in a different way. Like, take, for example, the Mario games. Mario Odyssey doesn't look like a very realistic game. It's still got that, you know, Mario style to it. And that's the... Even if you're not going to be going, like, pushing the engine as far as physically possible, there are ways you can take advantage of what's being done on the absolute high end to make... Not make those lower end, make those stylistic games look better in their own style, is probably a great way to describe it. Now, let's go to the complete other end of the spectrum. I can say words. The complete other end of the spectrum with a game from 2001. So, a game from... What year did this come out? Actually come out? 2011. So, 2011, Duke Nukem Forever came out. I didn't think it was that long ago. Wow, that was a long-ass time ago. Duke Nukem Forever came out in 2011. And recently, a build from 2001, the original version of the game, got leaked. I don't know how it got leaked. I don't know if it was like an insider. I know it, like, people on 4chan managed to find it or something like that. So maybe there was like a 4chan guy who was working at the company, or that could have been it. I don't know. Maybe it's like a promotional piece because they want to redo Duke Nukem Forever. I don't know. But what we do know is that the game is real and it exists. So there is this very short video here showing the game. Someone actually went and played 36 minutes of it, though, so I'll show you that in just a moment. But yeah, it's... I've never actually played the... I don't think I've actually played a Duke Nukem game. I've just heard a lot of great things about the series from its, like, early past. Obviously, Duke Nukem Forever being an exception, but the early past of the game. And if this game actually came out in 2001, it would have been, like, artistically impressive. Obviously, it's not a completed game, so, you know, you're not going to be playing through a whole Duke Nukem game. But the game does exist now. What that means is that modders are going to be building a game. I'll see if I can find the actual footage I mentioned before. Duke Nukem 2001. Where is this 36-minute video? I literally had it just before. Here we go. Here we go. You like shrink dudes. And then, like, this effect is actually, like, kind of impressive. Obviously, nowadays, it looks terrible, but if you put it into the context of what was available back then, like, this would be crazy. Like, this would be kind of insane. And I'm really... I'm waiting to see what modders actually do with it. Because, as I said, there isn't a full game here. Like, they haven't completed the entire story, and also you can piss. They haven't completed the entire story or anything like that. It's a early build of the game from the way it was originally going to be. But this is cool. And give it a few months, we'll see some kind of crazy things. initially people thought this wasn't actually real because, you know, it's a leaked game from 2001. It's not that crazy that someone could have made like a fan-made game that was, and then like trying to sell that off as being the original build. But we have this quote here from George Broussard, who was one of the people who made Duke Nukem at 3D. Yes, the leak looks real. No, I'm not really interested in talking about it or retreading a painful past. You should heavily temper expectations. There is no real game to play, just a smattering of barely populated test levels. I have no knowledge of who leaked this. And that seems to be the case. Locking this up and closing comments. Block some jerks. Said all that needs to be said. Other than that, time to take control of my timeline. I guess some people are being weird about it, which doesn't surprise me. But yeah, there's definitely enough here for modders to pick the game back up and then basically finish the game that people wanted to play. Judging by the footage we see here, not that one. That's Zuckerberg. Where's the footage? Did I close it? I think I closed it. Judging by the footage that we saw, though, it looks like the gunplay is already there. It's just, you know, the levels are very not populated. So, building a full game from that wouldn't be the most impossible thing to do. Like, it would be a process for sure, but... Oh, so you can... Yeah. Is that a... Oh, there's a mod menu or a command menu. That's why you could fly through a wall. I think you just fly through a wall because they just hadn't put collision there. Yeah, everything about this, except for the fact there's just nothing to do in the levels, seems like there is a workable framework for a game. You know what I actually want to do? I kind of want to actually go back and play Duke Nukem Forever. I want to see what the game was actually like, because I only heard really bad things about it. Like, Duke Nukem Forever is terrible. It's the worst game ever made. But a lot of people said... Like, a lot of people have said a lot of games are really bad. And then looking back on it years later, you realize it wasn't as bad as people said. It was sort of just... People were very disappointed with what they got. And you know, at the time, they just were not happy. I kind of want to go back and do that and see if it was, you know, at all amusing. I know you can pick up shit and, like, smear it on the wall, but, like, hey, for how much is it right now? It is $25. That's too much money. I'm not going to spend $25 on it. But it does have, mostly positive recent reviews, which is kind of weird. It's kind of what, not what I would have expected. Truth be said, it's not the best FPS. There's some really frustrating parts, and even some bugs that prevent you from advancing in the game. Yeah, that's a pretty big problem. I stomped into one, and... Oh, I stomped into one? I stepped into one. And if I hadn't found a solution after Googling for a while, it is very likely that we've given up with this game for a second time. Okay, so it might have been buggy as well. But I would like to go and play it at some point. I'll probably wait until, you know, it's, very cheap. It's on special and I can buy it as cheap as possible. Speaking of games that were really bad that I want to go back and play, though, Aliens Colonial Marines. Like, I remember seeing how bad that game was back when it first came out. And I kind of want to... It's not for $35, that's for goddamn sure. But I kind of want to go back and play it and see just how bad it actually was. Apparently it got patched, though, and a lot of the bugs... modders also have saved the game. But from... Yeah, it seems like it's probably still really buggy. Just not as bad as it was when it first came out. But when I play it, I'm not playing it with any mods or anything like that. I'm gonna play it in, like... I'm gonna play it, and it's going to be bad. I want this game to be bad. So, fixing it sort of defeats the whole purpose. But for 35 Australian dollars, yeah, it's not good enough for the meme. It's not. Definitely not. But at, like, maybe, I don't know, $15? $10? Maybe. I'm sure I can get $15 of fun out of the game. For sure. Surely I could do that. I don't know. What is this? Actually, just saw a comment on about the Duke Nukem thing. The E3 2001 Duke Nukem Forever reveal was and continues to be the greatest gameplay trailer I've ever seen. That is the Duke I wanted because it builds off the success and innovation of Duke Nukem 3D perfectly. The music is perfect too. Do you recall who composed it? So let's go back and see that Duke Nukem Forever 2001. Duke Nukem Forever 2001 E3. So this probably was the build that the E3 trailer was based on then. Let's see. Man, 2001 trailers. Yeah, in many ways, it seems similar. This is probably... the build that we saw leaked is probably the same build, or like a build from around about the same time. Like, that makes sense, considering, you know, the release, like, the time the build was from anyway. All of it sort of lines up in a way that makes sense with the trailer. How it came out, still don't know. But we'll maybe someone at some point in the future will come across how that happened. Speaking of things that are cool, though, the dev of Vampire Survivors. So, a new version just came out, like, a couple of days ago. I think it was, like, 0.5.2 or something. I want to say? Yes. 0.5.2. Where is it? There's a lot of cool things that happened in it. Oh, right, you can get a guitar now as well. Yeah, that's one thing. There's a guitar weapon, because why wouldn't there be? Here we go. You can, like, run around with this guitar weapon, and it just murders everything. But, that's not what I want to talk about. I'm going to go and play 0.5.2 myself, and that'll be fun. What I want to talk about is the way the devs sort of approached the game. So the Vampire Survivors creator didn't have a vision when he started making the game. He didn't have a vision. He didn't have a vision when he started making the game that allowed him to quit his job. So I don't care for balance that much. It's a single-player game. Here we go. The game was initially inspired by an Android title, Magic Survival. I've always been making games in my spare time, basically, and was looking for a job at the time. And because I was playing Magic Survival, I thought to try and make my version. And so I just came up with a prototype that played, you know, exactly like Magic Survival. And then I was done with it, honestly. Okay, so this is a game that people are talking about. I've heard people say that the game's basically just a clone of this. And yeah, I can see that. I can see why people said it was just a clone. Oh, there's even garlic. Yeah, obviously it's a very different style now, but it's very clearly like the same sort of gameplay. Yeah. Things changed when Gallant looked again, an asset pack he bought years beforehand, one that which was clearly inspired by Konami's Castlevania series. He replaced the prototype placeholder sprites with these vampires and ghouls and absolutely fell in love with the visuals. Wait, this is an asset pack he bought years ago? What an what an absolute lad. That's actually incredible. Okay, I didn't know that. And from then on, I just started building the game piece by piece. I didn't have a vision, says Gallant. I just put elements in to try and make things fun. This is one of the most striking things about Vampire Survivors. There's a lot of stuff in the game that frankly feels overpowered, and you have enormous fun using it. It feels like a game where the unexpected combinations can completely change how it plays, the one that doesn't especially mind if the player ends up with godly powers. I spent quite a lot of time testing with 2 or 3 weapons, really. I was more focused on trying to put as much stuff on screen as possible. I still wasn't thinking about how this game was actually going to get fun. Then I started to build on the combos, try to diversify weapons, so they feel different without worrying too much about which one is strongest, really. I don't really I don't care for the game balance that much. It's a single-player game. I'm more than happy for people to just go have fun, just to go for what they have fun with. So I want everything to be viable. And if some weapons are broken, that's fine. As long as they're fun, I'm fine with it. It will be up to the player to make the choice to either go for the easy way or go for the weapons they like and make a challenge for them, a challenge for themselves. Yeah, that sort of makes sense considering like what some of the characters start with. So there is a character still in the game. I've mentioned it last time, the missing no character, which was what you used to get for killing Death. But that character's still in the game now, so when you start up the game, literally the first minute you start the game, you can actually go and file it and unlock literally one of the most broken characters in the game. And there's some like really crazy characters you can get like not too long after that as well. Obviously, Death is difficult to get. When you unlock Death, like a couple of the really powerful characters, starts with an evolved weapon. And evolved weapons basically are broken for the first 10 minutes. 10, 15 minutes. Like, you can survive about that long without leveling up at all just by using that. So, another aspect of the game that surely helped in its success was the cost on Steam, which is $2.99. The reason for that is because I felt like it was a fair price for what I was offering, which is a product that I've developed in my spare time, and by spending a total of 1,100 euro... Wait, is that euro? What's that? That's pound, Brody. Yes, that's the pound symbol. Yes, bro. Yes, that is the pound symbol. Spending a total of £1,100 on assets, basically between illustrations and the sound, so that price sounds fair to me. And then I'm really happy that people want to pay more for the game, of course, and the price will go up once it's out of early access or closer to completion, but once again, I need to feel like it's a fair deal. One shouldn't only aim to try to make as much profit as possible from it. That just doesn't work. Honestly, what a cool dude. What an absolutely amazing dev. I wasn't expecting all these issues. Wait, what's this? The level of success it has seen is hard to quantify. Though an indie game that boasts an average of 25,000 players a day isn't doing too badly. I asked Gallant how success had changed things, and it sounds like much of it is firefighting. I wasn't expecting all these issues because I was expecting, if I were to get lucky, 1 to 200 plays. And you know, if 1% of those players have a problem, it's easy. You will find a way to sort out that user. When you have players numbering in the hundreds of thousands, even if 1% of these people experience a problem, it's a very large amount of people you need to deal with to support. So yeah, the amount of work is insane right now. And I haven't managed to sort everything out. Yeah, things are a bit bigger than expected. Oh, I love this. The future of the game is now obviously going to be more ambitious than I initially planned. He published a roadmap. I didn't know that. So where people can have a look at what percentage of completion we are for the game right now. Right now, we're at about 70% of the content, so we can expect more, you know, character stage and all the things we already know. But also, there are 2 big gameplay features that are planned that will change the way people play the game. Ooh. A new layer of, you know, power creep and all that. Oh, that's neat. Okay, time for a slightly controversial technical opinion that I hope the PC Gamer hardware team never see. I kind of like slowdown as... I kind of like slowdown as in when the frame rate decreases in specific circumstances, and particularly when it happens in vaguely bullet hell context. Oh god. When things really ramp up in Vampires 5, the slowdown can get immense. It doesn't make me mad, it just makes me nostalgic. Forgive me, tech purist. Does Gallant think slowdown can sometimes be good. I might like it. Depends a lot on the game, he laughs. Frame freeze, absolutely love frame freeze, doing it at the right time. But you know, those are games almost designed to slow down. There are a few where I absolutely love to see this. Odin Sphere on the PS2, the older version that used to slow down a lot, and I absolutely loved it for some reason. The version they released recently is smooth, buttery 60 FPS instead, and I love it as well. But yeah, it makes me miss the feeling a little bit. Gallant did clarify that he sees the slow down of Vampire Survivors as a technical issue, and as time goes on, the intention is to make the game much smoother. Okay, I know what the bottleneck is. Could it be your thousands of characters on screen at the same time? That might possibly be it. He also adds with a smile that he might add freeze frames there. That's cool. I end up by asking Gallant about the game's success means to his career. He'd mentioned that around the time it came out, he was looking to work as a web dev. Man, you got out of being a web dev to be the dev of Vampire Survivors. I think you're good. Yes, the plan was to start the year with a change of job, says Gallant. Just to start making a career as a web developer because it pays well and you get a mortgage and buy a flat in London. 1 week after I got the job, I had to leave because of Vampire Survivors. So yeah, Gallant mimics an explosion with his hands. Blast all completely upside down. I don't care about buying a flat anymore. I just care about doing what I've always wanted, which is to make games. And that's why I'm really grateful for this opportunity. For the surge of luck. And I'm going to try and turn it into something, you know, that is going to last. That's really cool. I hope this dev does well into the future. Honestly, that's just cool. I've been happy with my runs through the game. Even if it was left as is, still don't regret the purchase. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, the game's already incredible as it is. If more stuff gets added to it, like, that's just cool. Vampire Survivors will get 9 more characters, 5 more stages, and 16 more weapons before release. What the fuck? Oh, that picture was on the other one. Okay, so there's going to be 9 more characters in here. I don't know why they're specifically placed in this order and not at the end. I'm not entirely sure. There's going to be 16 more weapons, 2 more power-ups, so I guess a lot of the weapons you're gonna get aren't So, okay, assuming that these 2 power-ups are both evolution power-ups, that would mean there would be another 4 more weapons you can account for here, unless one of the existing weapons that doesn't have an evolution does get one, like the cherry bomb, for example. That's entirely possible. And then 2 more main stages and 3 more extra stages. 2 more challenges, 1 more bonus. That's really cool. Which also means a hyper mode for both of these ones as well. So technically, like 7 more stages. That's really cool. That's honestly just really, really cool. And I hope the dev does incredibly well going into the future. It's too bad this game's basically unplayable on Steam Deck. It was more or less fine when I tried it about 25 minutes in. And then slowly ground to a halt. I'm talking 2 to 3 FPS. Yup. Bigger news is this exact blog post that PC Gamer failed to mention, but to any actual players in the news that are, is the news of a parallel development to a new C++ industry standard engine migrating away from RPG Maker. So it should... I'm sorry. Vampire Survivors is not built in RPG Maker. No shot. No shot Vampire Survivors is an RPG Maker. No, it's... No, that's the original version. What about the Steam version? What game engine... I know Phaser was the original version. Your okay. Is it still built in Phaser? It might still be built in Phaser. Let's see. Actually, I'll see if I can find this. That would explain if it's still built in a fucking HTML5 engine. That would explain it. That would really explain it. Survivors. C++. Let's see if I can find this. I'm not seeing it, so I don't know what this guy in the comment section is talking about. Oh, wait, is there... Oh. Game... it's bonkers change. It's bonkers change from a few months ago when Vampire Survivors was just a weird, cheap game, but it's also very fun. If I was successful, propelled it into a game with a proper development team that's also going to be playable in a real video game engine. Okay, so it's going to be switching engines to something that is not a fucking web engine. If you don't know, Vampire Survivors is built in an HTML5 game engine. It's built in an engine called Phaser. Phaser is not a good engine. It's a cool engine. I'm not saying it's not a cool engine, but it's not a good engine for doing anything performant. It is a game engine that you use for embedding in the web if you don't want to use Unity, because you don't want to use Unity for some reason. I don't know why you don't want to use Unity. But yeah, this is a thing. This is a thing that exists. Why it was built in this, I don't know. Oh, no, I do know. Because the dev wanted to be a web dev. That makes so much sense, actually. That makes so much sense. He built it in Phaser because he's a web dev and knows JavaScript. Oh, God. Imagine quitting your job to make video games in fucking JavaScript. Oh, God. Man, the Vampire Survivors devs. Great dude. I love that. Oh, my God. I can respect that. I wanted to be a web dev at one point, and then I stopped doing that, and then I made YouTube videos. I made podcasts on the internet and made videos, and I don't know what I'm doing with my life, to be honest, but we're here, so yeah, we're here. Speaking of being here and being here for the crazy shit that happens, Eve is a really weird game. So Eve is that spreadsheet game. It's the spreadsheet space game where it's basically a simulation of late stage capitalism. It's an MMO around, like, running corporations in space, basically. And, because Eve, people joke about it being a spreadsheet MMO. It's actually getting spreadsheet features. So, EVE Online fans literally cheer Microsoft Excel features at annual FanFest. It's getting an API to directly integrate with Excel, which is cool. It's cool. I do like that. It's not... This is not a game that I would ever care to play. Like, the thing that's cool about EVE is all of the EVE stories are really exciting. Like, if you look up... if you go onto YouTube, for example, look up biggest EVE battles. Like, there are these, like, multi-million-dollar wars fought, where, like, each individual ship costs thousands of real-world dollars. Like, when I say multi-million-dollar wars, I mean, like, actual, like, US dollar. Multi-million US dollar wars. Like, this is such a crazy game. And it's not a game that I would ever care to get into. but I can absolutely respect the people who, you know, want to spend their time playing this. And there's so much like money flowing through this game that some people actually do this as a job. And hey, let's see. This wasn't an April Fool's joke, which obviously makes sense considering it happened in May. But yeah. Microsoft likes Eve, and Eve likes spreadsheets. Yeah, this is cool. And I'm sure the Eve fans are happy, because it'll make their managing their spreadsheets more interesting. Like, every time you would ever, like, I've thought of playing Eve, like, once or twice. But then I realized that the entire game would just basically be either working a day job, which I do already, or if you manage to, like, make your way up the corporation to, like, a manager position, which is kind of hilarious to talk about for a game, but you become a manager in an Eve company. Then you're just, like, managing the books. You're like, we should, like, raise this tax rate in this region, and we should lower this, and we should divert funding to this task. And it's just like, that does not sound like, I don't want to be an accountant in a video game. Like, that's not what I want to do. I just want to go, like, I just want to, like, go hit rocks or something. This is why I play 14. I like doing gathering. Like, let me just go, like, grab a pickaxe and go hit a rock. That's all I need from my games. I don't need spreadsheets. I don't need accounting. I just want to hit rocks. Maybe occasionally I'll pick up a weapon and I'll go fight something, but just hitting rocks is enough to keep me entertained. At least a lot more entertained than, I would be by doing the alternative. So I thought I just got a notification on my phone. I'm just hearing other noises outside my ear. Yes. I should probably take a break at some point, but I'm going to talk about one more thing, then we'll take a break. So, I want to talk about a game that I kind of want to play. So I remember seeing this back when it was in early access. Loot River. The Diablo and Tetris had a baby game is out today. So... Oi, mute it. Loot River is a really interesting title. So you can probably already see it if you're watching the video version. But unlike most action games where you're just, you know, standing around, hitting shit and dodging the enemies, you can actually move a lot of the terrain. Like, you can like, move the terrain in and then hit something, and move the terrain out, and just keep going back and forth like that. And it's a very different dynamic to the way that a lot of games like this would work. Also, the AI will sort of compensate for where you've moved the ledge to as well. So you can trick the enemies to, like, go back and forth in really stupid ways like this. I do want to play this. I don't know when I'm going to play it, but I'm definitely going to play it at some point. And it looks really good. Like, even if it didn't have this mechanic, if it was just the combat, it was just this really cool art style, it would probably be a fun game. Also, things like this are possible. Like, you can just, with a spear, you can just, like, back up and forth and just get the attacks in like that. I don't know how much it costs. Oh, here's a great scene of like how the game works. So this is sort of a big Tetris-y moment. You can lead the enemies to wherever you're trying to lead them, and then block them off. And then just not have to deal with them if you don't want to. So right now, it is 10% off on Steam. At least it was when this article came out a couple of days ago. I don't know if that is still the case. Let's find out. Loot River. It is no, it is not the case anymore. Okay, it is 35 Australian dollars right now, which is probably still worth it, to be honest. If I do play this, I'm probably gonna... It's got mixed reviews. Okay, why has it got mixed reviews? Let's see. Let's see. Why do people not like it? But I'm probably going to play this. Maybe I'll wait for that to be on sale. Because right now I've got a lot of other games that I want to play anyway. So it's like not a big deal if I wait on this one. Okay. I really want to like this game, but it just kind of needs work. I'm fairly certain the devs just ran 3D models through a 2D pixel filter. Yes, that's very clearly what they did with the art style. Yes. Like, that's what Dead Cells did as well. I like the art style. It reminds me a lot of Dead Cells. Animations and silhouettes are nearly unreadable most of the time, and attacks are unclear. Even the outlines enabled in the options on top of that. Even with the option enabled. Okay. On top of that, there doesn't seem to be any input queuing, so input's just often ignored, which is extremely frustrating. Input queuing? Did any games input queue? Why would you want a game to input queue? That seems like a really, really inconvenient way to play a game. The player gets stuck on walls when walking next to them. Okay, fair enough. That's an actual problem. Which may be by design, but it feels like a bug and feels awful. The dash animation doesn't really have any animation. It's just a jarring teleport with no cooldown, or no indication of a cooldown or anything. Let's see if we can see a dash in here. Okay, that's a cool looking swing. Yeah, no, that looks like... I don't know what you mean by it has no animation. Oh, you went past it. That's an animation. That's certainly an animation. I don't know what you think the word animation means. Again, it feels like a bug. Combat feels incomplete. Using platforms in combat should feel satisfying, but instead just feels cheesy. Your own attacks are animation locked, and you can't parry or dodge out of them. Okay, that does sound like a legitimate problem. This may be intentional, but it feels very clunky. I don't like it when games... the dev responded. I'm not a big fan of games that have animation locking. I don't like not being able to roll out of attacks. Okay. Okay. The devs fix stuff. That's cool. Let's see. Let's see another bad one. I'm eager to change my recommendation. I'm looking forward to some patches. I believe this game needs two things to fix the absolutely... I think it's trying to like... There's too many markers here. I don't know what word this is. I'm going to say shit or fuck ass. The absolute fuck ass dash animation and fix the loot. How is it possible that you don't loot anything interesting in several runs in a game named Loot River? Also, this doesn't really feel like a roguelike, as there is little to no evolution from run to run. You know that's not part of a roguelike, right? That's not one of the roguelike criteria. Like, it is something that happens in a lot of modern roguelikes, but you don't need evolution from run to run for it to be a roguelike. Yeah, I think a lot of people are complaining about the dash, so maybe it was worse. Let's see. Loot River, a game without interesting loot in a river of Tetris blocks. Prose, neat pixel art, yeah, this is really cool. Interesting game / puzzle mechanics, fair enough. Clunky combat. Dashing / dodging is possible. Parrying is insanely difficult. Enemies feel needlessly difficult. Core mechanics / gameplay loop is broken. Isn't the core gameplay loop the puzzle part? Permanent progression is meaningless. I thought the last guy said there wasn't permanent progression. Possible to get soft... Possible to get soft lock during a run. Oh, that's beautiful. It seems like a lot of people are praising the art style, but they're saying a lot of the... Okay, yeah, it seems like a lot of people are complaining about the animation locking. Animation locking should never be in a game like this. Like, I don't like animation locking in games that are trying to be realistic. I especially don't like animation locking in a game where it's very clearly trying to go for that Diablo, Dead Celly, you're looting stuff, you're trying to kill shit quickly sort of vibe. Animation locking doesn't feel good, it just feels clunky. It just feels like every time a game has animation locking, it feels like it's broken. Like I've mentioned before, but that's one of the things I really don't like about Ni no Kuni 2. I think the first game did it as well, but most of the first game was a lot of like spell casting, and the attacks were quicker for a lot of the times it did have animation locking. Animation locking is almost never a good thing. I think the only time it makes sense is for times where there's going to be no combat whatsoever. Like, you want to have animation lock on a door animation, for example. That's fine. I'd prefer if it wasn't there. I want to be able to cancel doors if there might be combat involved. But for, like, general acceptance, I will say that an animation lock on a door is probably fine. But if I am swinging a sword or doing any sort of combat, I just don't want animation locking. But I am seeing the dev is being very responsive to a lot of the negative reviews, which is cool. So I guess on oh, so this would have been, yeah, when did the game actually launch? Because I know it was in early access before. So that might have been on launch day then. Dodging feels bad for different reasons. Despite moving around on rectangular platforms, you get stuck on almost every object. Okay, so it sounds like the devs have been really trying to fix stuff up. Which is cool. Which is really, really cool. The Goodland game feels clunky. Lots of river, basically zero loot, false advertising. Shut the fuck up. I fucking hate people who think their opinion is way more important than everybody else's. I say this while doing a podcast. I have the microphone, therefore my opinion is more important. Let's just go purely negative. And see if we can find any new ones. Maybe any points we haven't seen brought up. The game is really close, but needs work with core game mechanics. Art is great, idea is great. But the fighting is really uninspired at the moment. Okay, it makes sense. Roguelite element. Yeah. Okay, it seems like maybe in a couple of months this would be a much more solid experience. So yeah, look, if it works out that it's really good in the future, that would be cool. Oh wait, is this published by the same... Oh, I didn't know that. This is published by Strucker Studio, the devs of this game, but also Superhot & Co. So this is published by the company behind Superhot, which is cool. I didn't know they'd expanded into being a publisher. Obviously, I knew there was like other Superhot games, like Superhot VR and things like that, but I didn't know there were other games under their banner now. That's cool. So they've actually like sort of evolved from just being like a one and done indie studio. Awesome. Superhot's a cool game. Definitely a very cool game. I didn't know there was a is this like a sequel to Superhot? I guess it is. That's cool. Maybe we should do Superhot on stream, actually. I think that would be neat. Yeah, probably would be. Anyway, I'm going to be back in just a moment. I didn't realize how bad my hair looked right now. Like, I knew it's been, like, flowing around doing whatever it wants to do, but... Man, I need to get a haircut. I'm probably going to go get one later. Probably sometime later in the week, maybe on, like, Thursday or Friday, something like that. The reason why I haven't gotten one for a while, like, it's been growing back out again, not because I'm gonna grow my hair back out. Like, I maybe in the future I'll try to go for long hair again, see how long I can last. But there's that middle stage where it just always looks really, really, really bad, and I got sick of it, and it was getting in the way of everything. It was just a mess. No, the reason why I've been growing it back out is because the last time I got a haircut, it probably didn't show up super badly on camera, but that haircut was very, very scuffed. It was fine also when it was like really short and it had just been cut, but they didn't actually, like, along the, I guess where the hair parts, like my hair parts like way over here, the guy didn't cut it properly, so it was like really unevenly cut, so it grew back in an uneven fashion, and it got to the point where I basically had like a little bit sticking up back here, and there was literally nothing that I could do about it. All that could have been done is I could cut it off and then deal with it a bit later, or just try to do something, try to get it to sit down, which some days it did, other days it didn't, and most of the time it just didn't really look good. So I've grown the hair back out so I can sort of just fix it up and just get another haircut and go to a different guy who's not going to be shit at his job. I think I got one of their trainees or their apprentices. I think I got one of their apprentices who was not very good at his job. Definitely not very good at his job. Showed him a picture and he's like, "Oh yes, I can do that," and then does something completely different. Like, what are you even doing? Like, how difficult is it for you to see a picture and then follow the picture? Like, that's all you need to do. I'm not giving you anything complex. It wasn't even like some crazy haircut. It was just like basically, you know, short back and side and a little length on the top. Is basically all it was. And he's like, "Ah, yes. You want the Zoomer haircut?" Like, no, I don't want that. What are you doing? How are you this bad at your job? And because it had like that extra length on the top as well, like it started to flop over the front as well way earlier than I would have expected. So I'll deal with it soon. I also need to deal with getting my eyes checked. So I have received 2 letters and 2 phone calls from OPSM. They're like a local eye optometrist. That one. I was gonna say eye place. Optometrist. And in Australia you get like a free eye test once a year or something like that. And they told me to come back in 2 years. It's been 2 years. And now they're like, hey. It's been 2 years. Been 2 years. Been 2 years. Like, I know it has. I'll come down there at some point. You don't have to keep fucking bothering me about it. I know that I should get my eyes tested, and I'll do it later, because I don't want to right now, because I'm lazy, and I'll do it another day. I'll do it later. That's basically it. That's my whole argument. I got nothing else to argue about why I haven't got it done yet. Just, I'll do it later, and stop sending me letters. Like, one's fine, and maybe a phone call. I don't like it when companies give me phone calls bothering me about, you know, coming back to see them, but sure, maybe one phone call. But after that, I don't need to know anymore. I already know about it. You don't need to keep telling me. If I haven't shown up, it's because I'm not going to show up just yet. Gyms are just as bad, actually. Like, there's a, with signing up to Anytime Fitness, like, I was considering signing up, like, a couple of years back. I just didn't get around to doing it. I ended up getting busy with other stuff, which means I got lazy and didn't want to go to the gym. So I went through their sign-up process. I got, like, halfway through. I entered my details, and something came up, ended up, like, not finishing it that day. But because I had entered my details and gone on to the next page, I got a call like 30 minutes later, and they're like, "Hey, we see that you are signing up for Anytime Fitness." Like, no, you don't. Nope, don't talk to me. Do not call me if I chose not to finish the sign-up process. Like, what are you doing? You shouldn't even be saving that number on record if you haven't, like, if I haven't gone through the sign-up process. Like, stop. Stop it. I don't want to deal with you. So now, ever since then, I just get the occasional message from them like, "Hey, sign up is cheaper right now. If you sign up now, you can get your entry for free. And you can get like 3 months off. And like, I don't care right now. Stop sending me messages. Companies will get very overly zealous. Overly zealous? That's the word. Yeah, they'll get overly. Is that the word? Do I know English? Overzealous, not overly zealous. What are you fucking saying, you idiot? Yeah, they'll get overzealous. They'll get overzealous in the way they will try to recruit customers, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with you. Just let me go about my day, man. I'll talk to you later. I'll deal with you then, and then if I don't deal with you, that's fine. It's okay if I don't deal with you, because I got other things to do. Speaking of other things to do, let's talk about some GPUs. AMD has released the 6950 XT, the 6750 XT, and the 6650 XT, which, considering they are 50 cards, slot in between the other cards in their lineup. And there was one comment on this Gaming on Linux article, which was really dumb. Another paper release. I couldn't be less excited, except for the fact that you can literally buy them right now. But these are also first-party AMD cards. So, if we go to the AMD website, we should be able to buy them directly from AMD. Let's see. Here we go. AMD Direct. So this is the US store, and how much okay, they're out of stock on the they're out of stock on the AMD store. But I take back what I said. You can't buy them from AMD because they're out of stock. But you can buy them from retailers. So if we go to the graphics card section, 6950 XT is, in Australia, $2,000 or $1,750, depending on which one you buy. I don't know why they are different. This one, I guess, has 100 megahertz more. Everything else is the same, though. Would you pay $200 for 100 megahertz? I wouldn't, but maybe someone's going to. But, yeah, you can buy, assuming they are in stock, you can buy the cards directly from AMD, which is kind of neat. I haven't actually looked at what the performance is like relative to other cards, so I'm sure someone's going to have benchmarks out. Radeon benchmarks. If I just look that up, I should be able to find it. We'll go 6950 XT, because that should have all of them on the card, or on the chart. You would think they would put all of them on the same chart, considering they came out all the same day. I would hope, at least. So this is Tom's Hardware. Does Tom's Hardware have actual benchmarks on the site? That is the question. Or do I need to go to my favorite site, Guru 3D? This is not benchmarks. This is here we go. Benchmarks that don't show all of the cards. Okay, that's a very useful benchmark. It will show the cards in the absolute top thingy, top positions. 6950 XT and then Guru 3D. Yeah, we'll go Guru 3D, my favorite site. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I used to be like, back in high school, I would read so much Guru 3D. Like, I was reading it basically, like, every single day. Benchmarks. Review? Yes, that will work. Thank you. So this is the Sapphire card. Okay. Cool, so let's go to Far Cry 6. I like Guru 3D because their charts have basically every card that matters, even down to cards that, like, are literally $1,500 cheaper. Okay, so 6950 XT sits obviously at the top with MSI's variant being slightly faster. So this is faster than the 3090 Ti. Okay. It's faster than 3090 Ti by 2 frames in some situations. Other cases, it's on par. So, what does that mean for pricing? I'm sorry. Does it say 3090 Ti? Hold up. I need to check this. 3090 Ti. Okay. Oh my god. If you can buy one of these, like they're in stock in Australia. I don't know if they're in stock anywhere else. You can save $1,800. What? I have to check if they're in stock in the US. I have to check this. No way these are in stock. 6950 XT. Oi, just show me the fucking thing I typed. There we go. They are kind of... Okay, they're a lot less in stock than Australia. There's this one card here from ASRock. So you are going to have a harder time buying it. Actually, what does the 3090 Ti go for in America? I just want to have a reference point. 3090 Ti. Yeah, okay. So assuming you can buy one, which right now, one of them is in stock. Wait, no, this is back order. Oh, I take back what I said. None of them are in stock in the US. Okay. But assuming you can buy one, which if you back order at that price, they should charge you that price. It's literally half the price of the 3090 Ti for the same performance. That's fucking mental. Okay. So let's go down the chart. Do we have the other 50 class cards in here? We don't. Okay, I take back what I said about Guru 3D's review being good. Okay, I'm going to find a review of one of the lower end. Okay, so they... Wait, what? Do they not have the other cards on the... This is a really weird chart, because they actually did the low-end card first, but they don't have the low-end card on the graph. What? Does this one have it? No. What? Okay, I'm gonna have to open up multiple tabs here. Okay. Because Guru 3D is making me wrong about them being a good site. Okay, I take back what I said about Guru 3D being a good site. They actually have no idea what they're doing with this. Like, they could just... In this article right here, they could have put all of the numbers on the exact same chart. There was nothing stopping them doing that. But, whatever. Let's close some of these tabs, because I've got too many open. I'm not one of those people who keep 1,000 tabs open. I find it annoying. Okay, so... This is... Okay, so this one is the 6650. We already did the 6950, so whatever. We'll open it anyway. Okay, so 6750. Let's go to Far Cry 6, just because that's what we were using before. And this... Wait, that one is on there. Oh, this one has all of them. What? You guys were paying attention to the order those releases were in, right? So, the first one was 6650. Second, 6750, and then 6950, 6750, and then 6950. But the 6750 has all of the numbers, but the other ones don't. Okay, sure. So, the 6750 is faster than... What? Wait. The 6750 XT is faster than the 6900? Is AMD cannibalizing their own GPU stack? What? What? Oh wait, no, that's no, that is 69. Yeah, I thought like there was a non-XT variant. I am very confused right now. What? Okay. There's only one of these cards anyway, so can't buy it in Australia. I keep forgetting this is in alphabetical order. Okay, $69.50. $900. We have one of them is in stock at 900. Okay. So it outperforms. Am I dumb? Can I not read a graph? It outperforms the 6900, but is lower in the product SKU. Shouldn't it be here? Shouldn't it be between the 6800 XT and the 6700 XT? Like that's where I would think it would should be going. Why is it here? Surely it's not because it's just overclocked. Like surely you don't get an extra 10 FPS from overclocking. Like this doesn't make any sense. Okay, sure. And then the 6650 XT. Okay, this one is below the 6700 XT, which makes sense. But it's above a 3070 Ti and equivalent with a 3080 Ti. What? For reference, the base 6600 XT, sorry, is here, which is under the 2080 Ti. What the fuck? Okay, so this card is effectively and in stock, and you can get a pink one, which is cool, and I kind of want it. This card is in stock at $650 and outperforms. Where's the 2080 Ti? Where the fuck's the 2080 Ti on this list? What? Okay, what card is on the list that I can equivalently performs? It will check other games, but equivalently performs this card right here for $2,000. It's literally a third of the price. What? Do I have to buy one? Do I just buy a 6650 XT? What are these numbers? Like, if it was just a paper launch and you couldn't buy the cards, like, sure, whatever, no one would care. But the fact that they are for sale... Wait, now it's way down here. What? Is this game just really weird? Wait, is this game just really weird? Cause that, yeah, no, so on this game at full, oh, okay. Okay, so the performance massively drops off if you go above 1080p. Right. Okay, that makes sense. So this is 1440. I don't play above 1080p anyway, so I don't really care. So at 1440, it drops way down to the 2080. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Because it only has an 8 gig frame buffer. Let's go to Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Let's see what happens here. So the frame buffer is probably what's going to hold it back then. Are you gonna load up the thing that I went to? Or are you not gonna do that? You're not gonna go to it. Okay, cool. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Show me the money. Either way, that's fucking incredible. So this is 1080p. 6650 XT. I should just go and open up the... Yeah, we'll go and open the article specifically on that card just so we can see it easier. So Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Let's see. So, yeah, here we go. Here, it's performing like a 1080 Ti. Interesting. Okay. That makes a lot more sense then. Okay, so games with a frame buffer is a lot more... Yeah, and also in this game, the... Actually, we're up to 6950. Either way, it's still a fucking crazy card. The fact that even in some games it can compete with a 3080 Ti. Even if it's not as crazy as I thought it was. Here we go. Let's go to the review section. Okay, maybe I'm not gonna buy one. But, even so... what are we on? We're on Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So... This okay. But if you are going top end... the 6950 XT crushes the 3090 Ti, and it's literally half the price. So maybe that... If you're going for, like, the top end... if you're at the top end, yeah, maybe it makes sense then. Or if you just need a new card. Yeah, it's half the price and seems to perform basically as good within a couple of frames on most tests. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is an exception, though. It's 20 frames lower. But would you be willing to save close to $2,000 for 20 frames? Because I know that I would. Like, I don't really mind if my game at fucking 4K is running at 111 FPS. I'm fine with that. Maybe you're not, but I am. What does the 6650 do at 4K, actually? Probably terribly. 48 on Ultra. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy impressive for a low-end card. But yeah, you can definitely see the frame buffer really holds it back here. If this had a 16 gig frame buffer, it would be up here. Like, it would just break the stack. It would, yeah, probably be, like, just behind, like, the 6750 or something like that. Let's go to... You know what? Let's really challenge it and try it with ray tracing. Yeah, it does shit. Of course it does shit. It does worse than the 3050. But does do better than the 6600 XT. Let's see where a 3050 sits, actually. What does that actually sit in pricing? A little lower. But granted, ray tracing is an NVIDIA thing. And I don't give a shit about ray tracing. So, yeah. I just don't care. I just don't care about ray tracing. Let's see. So ignoring the ray tracing stuff then. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. No, not Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's not the one I meant to click. Valhalla. Let's see then. Just below the 3070 Ti. Okay. Just below 3060 Ti. And just below 2080. Yeah, the higher the higher the resolution you go, the more it suffers. It really, really suffers from that frame buffer. And 8 gigs is a big frame buffer. It's just, you know, small relative to what is expected on the absolute top end nowadays. I wonder if the 6750 holds out better. So this is just below 6800, which is where it should be. Then it's just below... Okay, so this one seems to hold its position a lot better. Until the third test, where it drops below... drops down to a 2080. Okay. So, if you are looking for 4K gaming, and you don't want to go, you know, absolutely mental. Yeah, this at Ultra 4K 6750 does it. This is probably like your mid-range 4K card. I think if you did 4K with this, then you'd be fine. Maybe in a for much newer games though, you probably have a problem, but if you then drop back down to 1440, you seem like you'd basically be good. But if you're at 1080p, this card is a god. Like, this card is genuinely a god and performs so much better than you would think. Because a lot of the high-end cards, what they really, really perform well for is like the higher-end stuff. Like, at 1080p, because the frame buffer is no longer an issue, everything just does really well. And you can have a fucking $700 card or whatever it was. What was it? Was it $800? $700 card. Yeah, $700 card performing like a $2,000 card. Anyway, I want to check other pricing. And also availability. 6750 XT. So you are not able to buy this one by looks. Oh, you can buy one of them. Okay, you can buy one 6750 XT. Okay. And 6650 XT. And you can buy one. Okay, you can buy one. You can buy two. You can buy the pink one. Okay. This is a stupid looking card. This is such a stupid looking card, but I kind of want one. Man, I don't know if I want to get one of these cards or wait until the end of the year, because I know the new cards are coming out very soon. Oh, it's very tough. For the record, my current card, let's go to the 6650 XT test. So, this is the card that I would be buying. I'd be buying this one, the 6650. My current card is here. So, you know, double the frame rate. Double the frame rate does certainly sound nice, that's for goddamn sure. And then I could sell my card and, you know, I'd recoup back. How much is a 570 selling on the secondhand market at this point? Probably not as much. RX 570. I remember when they were selling like $600 in the secondhand market. You can sell them for $200. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Not a... Oh, okay. It's two of them. Sorry, someone's selling for $650. If they're new, they could be like $400 as well, which maybe is reasonable, but... Hitman 3, 198 FPS. And then 570, 78. It is certainly tempting, but I really just want to wait for RDNA 2 because it is so close. Like, it's only just around the corner, and I'm in no demand, or no... Yeah, I'm not, like, desperately in need of a new GPU. But it's so tempting. Seeing these numbers, and seeing these numbers at prices that are, like, fucking very competitive right now. Like, who are like, I don't want to pay $650 for a mid-tier card. Like, that's fine. But if you don't buy it, you'd also pay $1,000 for a mid-tier card. Mental. Crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. We're at a good time. We are... We may still be in a chip shortage, but we are coming back to a sensible time on buying GPUs. That's certainly a fact. Even if it's not as nice as some people would like it to be. Speaking about the potentially cracked GPUs, we now know a bit more about when the Intel Arc GPUs are coming out. So there was always sort of like a release schedule for when the cards were coming out. So there's this article here from The Verge which talks about it. And initially we'll be seeing the cards in not OEM systems, in pre-built systems in China. So initially it was going to be Q1 for desktops, Q2 for workstation, Q1 for notebooks, Q2 for desktop, and Q3 for workstations. But now there's going to be a more... where is the actual... Here we go. Here's the blog post. So this blog post sort of more clearly details when things are going to be coming out. So... Can you update us on the status of Intel Arc graphics product, or Intel Arc mobile graphics products? So, we've been working closely with OEM partners to get Intel Arc graphic mobile designs fully launched. First was Samsung, who started with its availability in Korea and is expanding globally. We plan to have broader OEM availability at this point, however, we have had some software readiness delays, and together with the COVID lockdowns impacting global supply chains, OEM designs are only this month becoming more widely available. So... You're going to start seeing Intel Arc basically hitting the market now or very shortly. Despite the constraints, our OEM partners have announced laptops with Intel Arc 3 graphics, including Samsung, Lenovo, Acer, HP, and Asus. Okay, so nothing's out right now, but it has been... Products have been announced. Laptops with Intel Arc 5 and Arc 7 graphics will start becoming available in early summer. So... When's summer? It's autumn in Australia now, so summer is in like a couple months. So in like a couple months, like Q3, you'll probably start... Q3? Yeah, Q3. Probably in Q3 you'll start seeing those, I would have to guess. So when are the desktop cards coming? Unlike notebook designs, desktop systems have a vast set of combinations, including memory, motherboard, and CPU. To initially limit some of the variation, we'll launch with working with system builders and OEMs for specific configurations. We'll release our entry-level Arc A series products for desktops A3 first in China through system builders and OEMs in Q2. E-tail and retail component sales will follow shortly in China as well. Why starting in China? That's... Sure, okay. I get the OEM stuff, but why retail starting in China? Proximity to board components and strong demand for entry-level discrete products... Oh, I should read the rest of the sentence. They make them in China, so sell them in China. Makes sense. Means you have to, travel less. Our next step will be to scale these products globally. Rollout of Arc A5 and A7 desktop cards will start worldwide with OEMs and system integrators later this summer, followed by component sales in worldwide channels. So I would imagine probably Q3, early Q4, which puts it... Oh, God, that's a dangerous position to be in. Because that's around about when the new AMD and Intel card... AMD and NVIDIA cards coming out, aren't they? AMD Q4. I want to say Q4. New cards 2022. At least that's when it's speculated. We don't have a solid date, but it's speculated. Or there might be a solid date. It's definitely speculated for Q4, though. That puts them in a fucking scary position. They must be either willing to take the bottom rung, or very fucking confident in these cards. I don't know what Intel's going to do with these cards. I'm genuinely curious. I want an actual third contender. I don't want Intel to just be taking the bottom rung and be like, oh yeah, we're making cards that will work great for low-end systems and maybe some very specific use cases like AI stuff, things like that. I want a third gaming class card. If that can happen, that'd be crazy. Because right now AMD and NVIDIA are just trading blows, and that's great and all. But they can always sort of fit their cards in ways that mean that they don't really compete with each other that hard. And that's what usually tends to happen. Intel comes in and fuck you. We're gonna just completely disrupt where cards are sitting. Hopefully outperforming cards as well, but it's a first gen run of cards. I don't expect them to be that crazy. They might be. It's entirely possible. But I think it's better to sort of temper your expectations until we see, like, not benchmarks from Intel, like actual real world benchmarks. Like, this is how this card performs in this game at these settings. When that happens, then we can say, yes, these cards are incredible, or no, these cards are shit. Also, pricing is going to be very important. We'll have to see sort of where they end up sitting in the product stack, if they're going to actually be worth it at the prices they're at, or if they're going to be, like, really massively scalped, or what's going to happen. Because I know they haven't talked about, I don't think they've talked about doing NVIDIA-style mining blocks. So, they probably, if they're going to be good, like, watt per dollar, then they will probably end up being used for mining. So, yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But only time will tell. Speaking of only time will tell if this is a really cool idea. And you know what? Time has told me it's a really cool idea. So that's what time has told me. This right here. Why did it go to the bottom of the article? What? Oh, it went to the comments. What? Indie Dev is releasing an official pirate version of his upcoming game, No Strings Attached. So Please Fix the Road will be available on Steam, GOG, itch.io, and various torrent sites. I have no idea what this game is about. So, it's a puzzle game about fixing roads. Yeah, it makes sense. That's fancy. That looks cool. That looks cool. I'm not a big puzzle game guy, but I'm sure people who are would find this to be neat, and it's certainly got a nice little charm to it. Now, when he says there will be a pirate version, he doesn't mean there's going to be like this weird buggy version, like, you know, how the Spyro games were back on the PS1, where I think if you pirated the game, it would basically work, but a lot of things just broke. Like, you would have eggs disappear from your inventory. You would have gems disappear. I think you would sometimes get teleported to places you didn't want to go to. But this one is going to be, I'm releasing it on torrent sites if you want to use it. So, you're actually going to get some, like, custom stuff for it as well. The pirate version will have all the launch levels, but no updates. So that's going to be the sort of one of the drawbacks you get. The game's not going to get any updates, because obviously updates will be managed by, like, Steam and stuff like that. But someone is probably going to get the updates anyway, so, like, it sort of defeats the point. There's an extra pirate-themed song at the start, an altered intro sequence, a pirate face instead of the cogwheel options icon, and a request in the options menu to buy the game, which is really cool. So basically what this is, he's calling it the pirate version. What this is you're releasing a freeware version. Like, this is nothing really new. It's just, you're releasing a freeware version. It's just freeware. Freeware it's sort of a concept that's died out a lot in the past, I would say past 20 or so years. Like, freeware isn't really a thing that a lot of people talk about that often. Now, if you want to talk about free software, most of that free software is also open source software. But this is the way that a lot of games got distributed in the past, so yeah. That's an interesting way to say demo version. Would be weird to call a full version of the game a demo version, though. Yeah, basically. I'm not sure about the game I'm about to buy. If it is a demo version for me. What? Do you know what the word demo means? That's actually pretty cool. What made you want to do that? It would be pirated anyway, and I don't blame anyone for it. It is what it is. Yeah, that's true. I hope at least some people will appreciate the gesture. Maybe I'll get some PR points from this. You definitely have, especially with a bunch of game sites talking about it, and me as well. I don't have that much pull, but yeah. Let's see. Maybe a weird question, but how can you check when it is a legal copy of the game when it's not? I was thinking about this, and I'll leave a text file in the torrent with a link to a tweet with the hash value of the zip. What? What? I was thinking about this, and I'll leave a text file in the torrent with a link to a tweet with the hash value of the zip. Oh. Oh, right. How do you check if it is a legitimate copy, a legitimate torrent, and not someone who's just made another torrent to, like, I guess, convince people to download their malware? It's going to leave a hash value so you can verify the hash. That makes sense. If you didn't do that, it probably wouldn't be a good idea, because now that people know this game has this torrent file that exists, there's probably going to be people who try to take advantage of that to distribute whatever trash they want to distribute. But this dev is a cool guy, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you doing cool things. Because he's right. Yeah, the game is going to get pirated anyway. If any game that has any sort of remote popularity, especially if the game is on GOG, which doesn't have DRM, it's going to be pirated. Maybe only a few people do so, but every game that has any sort of traction is going to be pirated, at least in in some capacity. Yeah, basically. I want to talk about probably one more thing, and then I might end it off, because I don't know, my voice is checking out, and I have a stream to do tomorrow, so hopefully I can still talk by tomorrow. But we'll see. If I can't, then I don't know, I'll just sit there and just be like covering my face and whoa, I can't say anything to do. Anyway, so I mentioned, actually got two topics I want to talk about. So I mentioned the other day, the new place is, the internet situation isn't great, or wasn't great. Still isn't great, but is going to be great. So right now that place, it's going to have 50 by 20, which is fine. It's what I have here. It does the job. But my mate wanted to get, he wanted to get the 100 by 40 package, but because of how far we were from the like internet node. So Australia has a lot of fiber to the node, where they run fiber to this like little box out in the street and then use the existing copper lines. Because of the distance from the node, you physically cannot get 100 by 40 there. So we can only get 50 by 20. I think usually it's like 35 by 20, which is fine. Like it does the job. But apparently, I didn't know this. NBN upgrade to FTTP. You can actually upgrade up to fiber. Now, some regions, some like suburbs are getting free upgrades. Like there's actually the government's realized that by building this like half fiber line, they still have to build the rest of the line anyway. So they wasted all of this money and now has to build more of it anyway. So yeah, because of that, you can also go and pay for your own fiber upgrade if you really want to, if you want to like jump ahead in the queue. And that's basically what is going to be done. So for that place, I think it's going to be like $4.5 grand to do. So like not cheap by any means, but also not like so catastrophically expensive that you just, you know, you can't afford it. He's already got solar on the house, so he's willing to make these purchases to get a better experience, like living at the property. So once we do that, I think you can get gigabit in Australia. I think I've talked about this before. Australia gigabit. I don't know if we'll end up getting it though, because it depends on like where you are. Not every property allows you to get it. It's like slowly being rolled out. So, most popular gigabit plan. This is one from Aussie Broadband. This is $150 a month. This is 600 megabit, which is not gigabit. I really don't like this typical evening speeds. The NBN 1000 plans. Thank you, Tech Radar. Let's see what we have. This updated a day ago. NBN 1000, $109 a month? Wow. That's actually surprisingly cheap. That's way cheaper than I would have expected. And then there is Telstra for 180 because it's Telstra. Why is everybody like jumping in prices so much? It goes anywhere from $99 with unlimited data all the way up to 180 also with unlimited data. Imagine paying for NBN 1000 and getting a typical 250. That is not 1,000. That is a 250 connection that you're paying way more money for. But yeah, we're probably going to get... it probably won't get that because, you know, most places don't have it. But we'll probably get like the 250 by 100 plan or something like that, which would be very nice. And maybe at some point we'll get 1,000 as well. I would love a gigabit connection. Like a gigabit connection would be just absolutely mental. Like think of all the things that you could do that you're never going to do, but you're like, hey, I have gigabit now and I want to do some crazy shit. Like you could, you know, run servers out of your house and stuff like that. And like, it wouldn't even affect your like regular traffic, but I would be happy with 100 down. 100 by 40, that would be great. That's all I would need. The other thing I want to talk about is, my stepdad's a fucking moron. So, I'm gonna read you some messages that I was sending back and forth with my mum. So, here we go. Just letting you know, I'm outside the hospital. He has fractured 2 of his fingers at work. He's okay, though. Like, oh, damn, how did he do that? So he squashed them between 2 steel things. And he didn't want me to take him to the doctors, let alone the hospital. This is basically what he's like all the time. I don't know why he's like this. Just like, you literally broke your fingers. Like, I don't want to go to the hospital. Like, what was your plan? What was your plan instead? We're just gonna, like, go back to work the next day with broken fingers? That was probably what he was gonna do. So I said, that sounds about right. What was his plan instead? So, I guess because there was like a fluid buildup or something like that, he had drilled holes in the fingernails to let the pressure of the blood out. Now the doctors are worried he'll get an infection. Okay, sure. They've given him a tetanus injection and really strong antibiotics. And then about an hour later, she sent another message saying he's had both his fingernails removed. No shit! Like, what are you doing? I don't know. People of another generation. That's what this is. Like, people who grew up without even like, they were very much adults by the time the internet came out. Very, very different creatures. Why would you drill holes in your fingernails to let the fluid out? Why would you not want to go to a doctor? What are you doing with your life? Like, I don't understand. But he's always been like that, so I don't expect anything to ever change with that. And you know what? I kind of don't want it to change anyway. It gives me a great source of amusement, and it's great content as well. And you know what? I think that's basically going to be it for the show. For the past maybe half an hour, I've had a runny nose, and that's been, you probably noticed me sniffling every so often. I'm just going to end the show. I'm just going to end the show. I'm going to take, I don't know, some hay fever stuff or something like that. Hopefully it goes away. But knowing what's happened when I've previously had a runny nose while doing a podcast or recording a video, every time that I stop, like 20 minutes later, everything goes away. I don't take anything. Everything just suddenly clears up and there are no problems whatsoever. So we'll see what happens, I guess. I will have started playing Kingdom Hearts 2 over on the gaming channel, so go check that out if you're seeing this. I guess the day this goes up, actually, I'll be playing Hollow Knight, so go check that out, and the following day will be Kingdom Hearts. So, anyway, if you like this podcast, remember to go and like the podcast down below. You can know how to go do all of that on YouTube. I've got a gaming channel. That is Brody Robson Plays. I do gaming stuff there. Hollow Knight, Kingdom Hearts, maybe some other things. Maybe I'll play Duke Nukem forever. I don't know. My main channel is Brody Robson. I do Linuxy videos and other tech-adjacent videos. And the podcast is available as an audio release basically anywhere. Guests are coming back very, very soon. I can absolutely promise that. Not sure when, but it is going to happen. Then my video release, YouTube, also very soon coming back to Odyssey as well. I just need to stop being lazy and actually upload it to Odyssey. But that'll happen when it happens. So anyway, that's going to be it for me, and I'm out.